G'day, guys. Thanks for joining me again. Today, we are going to focus on some 3D seismic surveying results and where seismic's been shot in South Australia over the past 30 years or so. So, as we can see here, I've got up SA Rig, and on SA Rig here, I've got I've layered the map with 3D survey areas with data download. So I've got the offshore element over here, and back over here, I've predominantly got the onshore element, which sits around Mooba, around the Cooper Basin up here, and a bit down here as well, towards Kimber. Now, this is just an easy retrieval here. It's just down into active layers, download as a shapefile, and then convert through QGIS into a raw data set, which I store here in Excel with all my other raw data for the SA petroleum industry. As you can see, I've got all the raw data from all the previous videos that I've done on South Australia here. So sits there. Now, I've also got a second workbook here, which is all the same data that's being cleaned up with Power Query. Okay, so this is what it looks like, the data looks like after I've cleaned it all up in Power Query. Okay, see, it's a lot cleaner, a lot easier to read, and a lot easier ready for modeling. To update this workflow, all I have to do is extract again when the data gets updated on SA Rig, the government data gets updated, put that back into the raw data workbook, refresh the Power Query model and my pivot tables, and I've got insights there that are pretty well automated. I can also set up those insights to be automated in Excel, so I don't have to do anything, but that's pretty much the process there, the streamlined process to formulate insights in the survey area of the petroleum-based industry. Now, it'd be good to have 2D seismic records as well, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to pull them off SA Rig. Okay, so coming to our findings here, what we've got is we've got onshore versus offshore 3D seismic shot. So here we can see that there's 45,494 square kilometers of seismic shot offshore versus 21,090 onshore throughout the period of 1981, 1981 to 2019. So sort of a, nearly a 30-year period there, so, sorry, 40-year period there. So quite a couple of decades to sort of have a look and sort of see how it's trended throughout those decades. But you can sort of see that there's greater surveying being conducted onshore comparatively to offshore, comparatively to onshore in that time. Coming down here, the percent of 3D seismic shot by basin, we can see here that the Great Australian Bight had majority of that percentage, that overall percentage of seismic, which is, Great Australian Bight is offshore. So we know, okay, there's a lot being shot sort of offshore in terms of area, whether that then correlates to more petroleum in the overall production phase. I'd have to look at more data and more models and draw comparisons between the two, but it just gives us a little bit of oversight as what's happening in the exploration phase with a lot of these big companies within this region. Okay, so equipment used for 3D seismic by basin. Okay, so if you want to get into the technicalities here of seismic and how it works, you can see what energy sources were sort of used here. So was it a vibe or vibrosis? Majority of the time it was, and it was in the Cooper Basin where there was 80. These obviously the air gun and the air gun array, but they must be offshore based seismic sort of ways of surveying. So that sort of gives you a bit of an insight there, a few insights there. On the technical front, total jobs onshore versus offshore. So this is the total seismic jobs conducted in this region throughout the period that I just described. So that 40-year period, Great Australian Bight Basin, there's only 5 jobs there, 1 job in the Otway Basin for offshore, and then onshore, the Cooper Basin. There was 85 jobs there, a lot for bigger companies like, Santos Limited, for example. It's been a dominant player there for many decades. Otway Basin, 9 jobs there. So you can see that the Cooper Basin is really the dominant basin when it comes to surveying in the 3D element of seismic in the exploration process. So, if you're looking at, say, the Cooper Basin has other commodities, for example, that could be productive or useful in the renewable energy space, you could go and try and obtain those survey results um, that have been shot in those on those leases for different companies in the past, and know where to drill to retrieve that commodity, which would then give you a competitive advantage as opposed to having to go and get surveying conducted again to work out, during the exploration phase to work out where you're going next. And if there's already pre-existing infrastructure in those locations, that also allows an advantage. So, this is a good sort of, I guess, by analyzing other sort of mining markets, you can go, okay, well, what infrastructure and facilities are on these particular leases and these particular locations? What surveying's being conducted? Because they'll all drop your operating expenses in the future if you're going through the exploration phase or looking to start an exploration company or startup looking for a new critical mineral. So if we come over here, we've got all the different uh, all the different seismic based companies here. So this is the number of 3D jobs completed in South Australia by seismic company. So you can see that Terex is the leader there with 45. They've in this particular region for 3D jobs in South Australia. And then Geco Prackler, I think they were more, I'm going to say sort of late 20th century. They were more of a dominant player. Western Geco, I've seen them sort of come up a little bit in the mid sort of 2000s, mid to late 2000s. Geokinetics, a global player in the seismic market, and Dolphin Geophysical, that is a offshore-based seismic company. So just to give little insights there. So the total 3D seismic shot onshore in South Australia by year. So this gives you a bit of an idea. You can see that the seismic market here is trending up over time. So um, there's more seismic being shot. The amount of seismic being shot, 3D seismic that has been shot in South Australia has increased over time. So what we can sort of look at here, this is for onshore. So we know that there's onshore opportunities here that are increasing within this market. If I go to offshore, it has also increased as well. So you can see there's some pretty big numbers there in terms of area per square kilometre of surveying being conducted. So quite interesting, I guess. I don't know what that is from, a ratio of per square kilometre versus how much money it costs to undertake the surveying. But, this is sort of a good kind of way to sort of measure, what's happening in this market, how much data is there out there to inform new players emerging into the market on where to drill and where to seize on opportunities. So we can see here that 2013 was quite high, little drop here with the oil price in 2014, and a bit of a struggle here last sort of 2017, 2019. down through here, through the 2000s, it was sort of up and down a little bit in the market, sort of making it a little bit more of a volatile based industry. If I want to have a look here, I can look at each petroleum-based company. So if I want to go Santos, for example, I can see what Santos has done over time. I'll just wait for that to load. This is the thing with Excel versus um, using other tools like Power BI. Sometimes it lags a little bit with when drawing up dashboards and pivot tables comparatively to Power BI, where it's a bit more efficient, but it's a good cost-effective way of doing it. So if we look here, um, we can see that in for Santos, it's trended down. The demand for 3D seismic uh, over the last 30 odd years. So there hasn't really was a big thing here. They did some big jobs here in 2001 and 1997, but there hasn't really been too much here since in the form of 3D. I look at Beach, what have they sort of done? So I'll have a look at Beach Energy. Beach Energy has gone up, I think, if that's still got a load for me. I can see here. So, um, yeah, Beach have done a fair bit of work there over time. So 2,915 square kilometers of seismic being shot. They do their contracts majority with geokinetics and Terex Seismic. There's Beach Petroleum too. I don't know if that's a different company or not. Who does Santos work with? Okay, so they've worked with a few different seismic companies here as far as the onshore kind of goes. So you can kind of see here, okay, what petroleum companies work with what seismic companies here when shooting 3D, and over time, what has that relationship been like? So that's just a good little indicator there to sort of identify, who works with who, where the relationships are within this market. All right, next one down here, we've got basin, and we've got onshore, offshore. So I can use the basin to filter this through, but basically it's the same again, 1981 to 2019. And then we've got percentage of the total in terms of the 3D seismic shot, the area per square kilometer for the metric. So we can see here, if I want to go to onshore again, okay, what are the big numbers here? What are the big jobs? Okay, well, it was 2013. We know that. So that was a big job here. That was a big year for seismic. 2012 was a big year. Okay, 1997 was a pretty sort of solid year too. Wasn't sort of much here. So you can sort of see it's really volatile up and down throughout the market. If I want to have a look at basin, that's another good way to sort of have a bit of a look. So if I go Cooper Basin, okay, what sort of happened there? Okay, so 20,308 square kilometers of seismic has been shot here. Um, so if I'm looking here at the difference down here, I can sort of go, okay, well, once again, sort of pretty much the same as what I was just looking at. Um, 2001 here was a pretty sort of solid year for them. 97. Okay. All right. Down here next, total seismic shot onshore by Petroleum Company in South Australia. So I know here that straight away that Santos has shot the most 3D seismic in South Australia in the onshore based market. So I go have a look down here. Okay, Cenex and Beach are the next two players. Okay. Then after that, these players are quite small in the market, which makes me go, okay, are these guys here, they're not shooting as much 3D seismic because the 2D data is good enough that they already have, or are they just using the old 3D data and picking up the old leases that Santos has previously shot on, and they're just producing productions just a much lower quantity. That would be sort of another question, sort of ask somebody who works in the industry or field. But yeah, once again, you can sort of have a bit of a look there. So we know Santos, Cenex, Beach, big players there. I go offshore. Okay, I can see that Woodside Energy, PGS, BP Exploration, and PGS NOPEC and I can sort of have a bit of a look through that. Okay. Now, some of these guys might have been in the market a long time ago and shot this a long time ago, so you have to filter that out by year to really get a pretty kind of good idea. So if I wanted to do that, I'd just add in a slicer here for year seismic shot. Okay. And I could just go, right, well, or what I can is, and I can also just do this too. I can go up here to a pivot table and I can go down here to year seismic shot. Okay, what's up here? Easy. So I can just go, well, I want to know in this period here, over a 10-year period from 2009 to 2019. Okay, cool. They're the big plot. That's who shot the most 3D seismic in that last 10-year period that we have on record within this data set. Okay, still like 6 years or 5 years of data missing from this, but that tells us, okay, well, Santos isn't shooting the same amount of 3D seismic data that they used to in the Cooper Basin region. Beach Energy here is shot a fair bit more than what Santos has. And Cenex has been a real key player here throughout this period. Okay, so that kind of gives us a bit of an idea as to what's sort of happening in the market there. All right. So last one I'm going to have a look at here just before I wrap this up is this is overall exposure. Okay, so you've got your lease titles here. This is really important because you want to know, okay, based on the lease title, what's been shot on that lease before, who's the petroleum company um, that wanted to shoot seismic data on that lease, and who was the seismic company that conducted the surveying, okay, and what sort of method did they use, because that would then determine, maybe the quality of the data for the geophysicist to interpret. Now, if I'm looking through the data set here again, I can look at it by the total seismic shot or the percentage of the overall total. I can sort of have a bit of a look through. If I want to use somebody like Cenex Energy as an example, again, just come in here and I can just filter this out and go Cenex Energy, okay, and then from there, I can look at it and go, okay, well, this is what they've shot, 3,823 square kilometers of 3D seismic. Breakdown here, they always work with Peric Seismic. These are the years that they shot it. These are the lease titles. And, it's pretty easy to sort of see from there. Okay. If I want to go to another one now, so let's say I want to go to like Beach Energy, another big player in this market. Go in here, go Beach Energy. Okay, and I have a look. Okay, they did a deal with Geokinetics back in 2017. And, it looks like Eric Seismic lost some business there to Geokinetics in 2017 with a deal with Beach Energy for PRL 175. So you can, once again, just have a bit of a look around at that, and you really get a good idea as to who works with who, what petroleum company works with what seismic company. Okay, or if you're looking at starting a exploration-based business in petroleum, for example, or another commodity, you could use this data acquired over here on these particular leases to lower your exploration expenses when moving forwards with your company. Thanks for listening in today, guys. Appreciate your time as always, and appreciate the support with the subscriptions to the channel. Keep it coming. Cheers.